Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Here in this video, we are going to discuss some selected previous year questions on arithmetic. As we know, in CAT, out of 22 questions in Quant, around 7 to 8 questions are surely to appear from arithmetic. So that makes arithmetic an extremely important section in CAT. Now, many of us have a misconception that CAT questions are going to be tough or difficult. Now here we are trying to break that myth. So here I will discuss some latest CAT examples or CAT questions to show that many CAT questions can be solved with foundation level or basic level knowledge of that particular topic. Okay, so to start with, we are going to discuss some arithmetic questions on percentage. Okay, now percentage is a high frequency topic. You're sure to get one question on percentage in every slot of CAT, in each of the 3 slots. So let's start off with a simple question of CAT percentage question. This appeared in CAT 2019. Now, what does it say? It says, in an examination, the score of A was 10% less than that of B. The score of B was 25% more than that of C. And the score of C was 20% less than that of D. If A scored 72, then the score of D was what? This is a theta question. There is no option. So you can do those questions in multiple ways. But let me show you the question in a most efficient way where you can do it in a very comfortable and efficiently. So what I do, if I make a small table of the variables, let's take A, then this is B, C, and this is D. Okay. Now, first it says, the first comparison is between A and B. It says A was 10% less than B. Now, what I will do here, our technique here is, I will convert the percentage into simple fraction or ratio. So 10% means simply 1/10. So A was 1/10 less than B. So let's assume B equal to 10. If I assume B equal to 10, then A will be what? A will be 1 less than 10, which means A will be equal to 9. So this way I can express A and B. That means ratio of A and B is 9:10. Next, the score of B was 25% more than C. Again, 25% means 1/4. So let's take C equal to 4. So if C equal to 4, B will be what? 1 more. 25% more means 1 more than C. So B would be 5. This way I can write. Next, the score of C was 20% less than D. 20% means 1/5. So let's assume D equal to 5. So C will be 1/5, means 1 less than C, which is C equal to 4. So this way I can write the corresponding ratios in this simplest manner. Now what? Now it says if A equal to 72, what is D? So now what I'll do, I have got the individual ratios. Now I have to find a composite ratio or a normalized ratio or common ratio. So for that, what do you do? Now you try to combine. Okay, so how do you combine? See, if I compare between B, C and D, if C equal to 4, then B equal to 5 and D equal to 5. So I can write together. That means if C equal to 4, B equal to 5 and D equal to 5. Simple. Now compare between B, because B has two values, 10 and 5. So what I do? I take the common multiple of B, 5 and 10, which is equal to 10. So if B equal to 10, automatically A is equal to 9. Okay, automatically A is equal to 9. Now what about the other things? C and D. So if B equal to 5, then C equal to 4. So if B equal to 10, C will be equal to 8. And if C equal to 4, D equal to 5. So if C equal to 8, D is automatically 10. So this is the normalized ratio or common ratio, we can say. So now that means ratio of ABCD is 9:10:8:10. Now question says A is 72. Now if A's real value is 72, which means it becomes 8 times. Then what is the score of D? So D will also become 8 times. So D will become 80. So if A is 72, D will be 80. So that is my simple answer, 80. So this is the approach you can remember or you can apply when you have multiple ratios to or multiple percentage to compare. Moving on. Next, this question, this appeared in CAT 23. This question looks a little lengthy, but essentially it's a simple question. If you have your basics in place, your foundational level knowledge in place, you can solve the questions efficiently or without any hassles. So let's read the question. It says, the salaries of three friends, Sita, Geta, and Mita, are initially in the ratio 5:6:7. In the first year, they get salary hikes of 20%, 25%, and 20% respectively. In the second year, Sita and Mita get salary hikes of 40% and 25% respectively. And the salary of Geta becomes equal to the mean salary of the three friends. Then the salary hike of Gita in the second year was how much? Okay. So it seems a lengthy question. To some extent it is, but the solution is not complex or difficult. You just have to follow step by step. So first, if I say Sita, Gita, and Mita, so what I can do here, if I take their values first, Sita, Gita, and Mita, that means Sita, and say this is Gita, and Mita. Okay. So initially, let's take the ratio of salary is 5:6:7. So let's take simply 50, 60, and 70. So don't take 5x, 6x, and 7x. Instead, take a numbers. Okay, this is the initial values if I take. Take simple numbers. Now, in the first year, what happened first year? So first year, see the salary increased by 20%. So what will be the new value? Now, this is simple percentage calculation. 20% of 50 is 10. So the new value of Sita will be 60. Then Gita's salary increased by 25%. 25% means what? One fourth. One fourth of 60 is 15. So new salary becomes 75. And in case of Mita, it is increased by 20%. 20% means one fifth. So one fifth of 70 is 14. So new salary becomes 84. So that is basic percentage. Now, in the second year, right? Now we go to the second year. It says the salary hikes was, for Sita, salary hikes was 40%. Again, 40% increase. So this should be what? 24. So 60 plus 24, it will be 84. And Mita increased by 25%. Now 25% means one fourth, which is 21. That means it will be 105. Simple calculations. And the salary of Gita becomes equal to the average of the three. Okay, so let's take the salary of Gita is now G. Now what it says, G is equal to the average of the three people. G is equal to average of the three people. So this, so in other word, so if I simplify, 2G will be equal to 84 plus 105, 189. So the salary of Gita now becomes 189 by 2, which is 94.5. Okay. So the new salary of Gita is basically becomes 94.5. Now, what is the salary hike of Gita? That's what they're asking. From 75, it has increased to 94.5. So what's the percentage increase or percentage hike? That would be simply 94.5 minus 75 upon 75 into 100. That is roughly 19.5 upon 75 into 100, which would be roughly 26%. So option 4 is my definite answer. So you can see this question tests your foundation knowledge of three topics. That is, one is the basic ratio, then basic percentage calculations, and then average. So if I am good at the basic foundation of, or if I'm good at the foundation level understanding of the three topics, I can solve these questions without any hassles. Up next, we take a latest CAT24 example. This appeared CAT24 in slot 3. Now, what does it say? After two successive increase, so it is apparent that it is a question of successive increase. Okay. Gopal's salary becomes 187.5% of initial salary. Now, if the percentage of salary increase in the second increment was twice that or twice of that in the first increment, then the percentage of salary increase in the first increment was what? Now, this is a basic example of very basic questions of successive increase. What is successive increase? We know if initial first increment was A%, then again changes by B%, then what is the net change? The net change is given as A plus B plus A into B by 100%. Okay, A into B by 100%. So applying that, the first it says, so I don't know what happened. So initially, let's say salary was A. So first rate is increased by, let's take in A%. So it became B. Now after that, again it increased by how much? Now second increment was twice the first. So this time it has increased by 2A%. So it becomes C. So what's the net increase then? So net increase what? C is now what? 187.5% of A. That means net increase is what? Net increase is basically 87.5% with respect to the initial. Okay. So question is, what is the value of A, the first increment? So I can safely apply the standard formula for successive increase. So what I can say here then? So A plus 2A plus A into 2A by 100. And that should be equal to net increase is 87.5%. So question is, what is the value of A? Now, instead of solving, this will be a clumsy quadratic equation. Instead of solving, what I shall do, I shall check from the option. I shall check from the option out of the 4. So that will make my job much easier. So first what I check, randomly if I check A equal to 30, then what I can say? So this will be 30 plus 60 plus something, which will be more than 87.5%. So 30 cannot be my answer. So it has to be less than 30. Okay. So now what I can say? Let's check with 25. If I put now A equal to 25, then what happens? So 25 plus 50 plus 25 into 50 upon 100, which would be equal to exactly 87.5%. So that will exactly match my question. So I can safely say that 25 is my confirmed answer. So this is a very basic level, foundation level question. Only thing is that you have to apply the formula, then you have to check from the option to make it faster. Okay. So these are our 3 simple examples of percentage which appeared in recent CAT. Now let's move on to profit and loss. This is also a very high frequency topic in CAT. In every slot, you will get one question from profit and loss. Now let's take some recent examples of profit and loss and see how we can solve them in a faster method or without getting into complex ideas. This appears as the latest question. This appeared in slot 1 of CAT24. Now it says, the selling price of a product is fixed to ensure 40% profit. If the product had cost 40% less and had been sold for 5 rupees less, then the resulting profit would have been 50%. So the original selling price of the product is what? So quite simple and straightforward questions in CAT. So people who think that CAT questions are going to be difficult or complex or twisted. So this is not the case actually. So someone with the basic knowledge can crack this question within 2 minutes, right? So let's try out. So what I should say. Now you see you have a actual number here, absolute number here. So what I'll do, so let's assume my initial cost price is 100x. So what is my initial sales price? That is, cost sales price is ensured 40% profit. So I can say simply it will be 140x will be my initial selling price. Now, if the product had cost 40% less, so what is my new cost price? Let's say CP1 will be 40% less. So the new cost price would be 60x and had been sold for 5 rupees less. So what will be the new selling price? Simply 140x minus 5. Now what would happen then? Resulting profit would be 50%. Resulting would be 50% profit. Resulting result would be 50% profit. So if cost price is 60x and resulting profit is 50%, so from this logic I can say that my sales price must be 60x plus 50% extra, which is 30x. So my new sales price must be 90x. And the question says this is my new sales price, which means both of these sales price must be equal, right? Both of these must be equal. So if I equate the sales prices, then what I can say? This shall be equal to 90x. So if I rearrange 50x equal to 5. So x equal to 5 by 50 or 1 upon 10. That's all I need. So what's the original selling price? Original selling price was 140x. So 140 into 1 by 10, which is 14. So that's the simplest of the answers or a question that you can expect in that. Okay, moving on. Next, you take the CAT 23 question, this one. Okay. This one also seems clumsy or calculative, but we can make it with our basic knowledge. We can make it very simpler. It says, Geeta sells two objects A and B at the same price such that she makes a profit of 20% on object A and a loss of 10% on object B. If she increases the selling price such that objects A and B are still sold at an equal price and a profit of 10% is made on object B, then the profit made on object A will be nearest to what? Okay. So what do you do here? Now, objects A and B, they have the same selling price. So what's the initial selling price? They have the same selling price. So generally people will start with X. But if you take X, it is going to be a clumsy calculations or fractional calculations. So the trick is to how to avoid that clumsy calculation. So if I just see that 20% profit, so there will be a factor of 1.2 in the calculation. And loss of 10%, so there will be another factor of 0.9 in the calculations. So what I'll do, I will take a number which is a multiple of 12 and 9. So let's take 108. Like LCM of 12 and 9 or a multiple of 12 and 9, 108. So if I take the sales price, initial sales price was equal to 108 in both cases. Then my calculations will be very simple. Now what I do? The first one, he makes a profit of 20%. So I have to find the corresponding cost price. What's the corresponding cost price? We know that sales price equal to cost price into 1 plus percentage profit upon 100. So we apply that. Sales price 108. So 1 plus 20 by 100. So what's the cost price? It will be simply 108 upon 1.2. Right? C into 1.2. So that's why I have taken this 1.2 initially. That means C will be equal to 90. So my cost price for the first item A was 90. Now, second case, I made a loss of 10%. So what will be my selling price in that, cost price in that case? So now it will be what? So cost price means it will be sales price into cost price into 1 minus percentage loss by 100. So 108 equal to cost price into 1 minus 10 by 100. So here you will get a factor of 0.9, which I assumed earlier. So I get the cost price as 108 upon 0.9, which would be 120. So the cost price for the product B was 120. That's why I said that if I take 108, my calculations will be very simple. Now, if I erase the previous calculation, this is just to show you. If you can visualize it, then you can do it faster without getting into these calculations. Okay. Now what? Now the question says, if the selling price of A and B are still sold at an equal price and at a profit of 10% is made on object B, Now, what's the new selling price? On B, you are selling it at a profit of 10%. So what's the new selling price? That will be simply 120 plus 12, which is 132. And it is A is also sold at the same selling price, which is 132 itself. So what is the profit on product A if it is sold on the same selling price? So simple. Now on this, now cost price is 90 and the selling price is 132. So what is the profit in this case now? Now that is also very basic now. That is what? Sales price minus cost price upon cost price into 100, which is basically what? 42 upon 90 into 100. So you can straight away apply the calculator straight away, which would give you 47%. That's all. So these questions could be clumsy, but if you take the proper number for sales price initially, then the question becomes very simple. So that's a trick we can use in this question. Now, moving on. Again, the same question, this appeared in CAT 23, slot 3. Now, this question is slightly confusing, or you can say slightly tedious, because it's a very common topic of dishonest businessman. So let's try out what it says. A merchant purchases a cloth at a rate of rupees 100 per 100 meter, means 100 centimeter, okay, and receives 5 centimeter length of cloth free for every 100 centimeter of cloth purchased by him. That means he is cheating by 5%. Then he sells the same cloth at a rate of 110 per meter, but cheats his customer by giving 95 centimeter length of cloth for every 100 centimeter purchased by the customer. If the merchant provides a 5% discount, then the resulting profit. So quite twisted or complex, lot of variables, lot of variations. But if we just stick to our basics without getting into shortcuts, if you stick to our basics, it can be still done efficiently. How? So first you think step by step. While buying, what is doing? Let's take he is buying rupees 100 for 100 meter, right? That means cost price of 100 centimeter. But when he buys 100 centimeter, he is taking 105 centimeter basically. And what is the cost price is basically rupees 100. So effectively, he is buying 105 centimeter of cloth for rupees 100. That's what it says. Okay. Now, while selling, now he's selling 100 and while selling, he sells at 110 per meter, but he's giving only 95 centimeter instead of 100 centimeter. And also he gives a discount of 5%. So what's the selling rate? 110 centimeter, that is a marked price. And he's giving 5% discount, which is what? 110 minus 5.5, okay, which is 104.5. Okay, so how he's selling? He's selling basically, instead of 100 centimeter, he is giving you 95 centimeters. And he is taking rupees 104.5. Right? Now, if you focus on that, he is actually selling 95 centimeters. So focus on that 95 centimeters. Now tell me, focus on only on 95 centimeter. Now, what is his cost price for 95 centimeter? His cost price for 105 centimeter is 100. So I can say cost price for 1 centimeter is 100 upon 105. And therefore, the cost price of 95 centimeter will be what? Basic unitary method. So 100 by 105 into 95. So you calculate, it will be roughly 90.5. Therefore, for 95 centimeter, his cost price is 90.5 and his selling price is 104.5. So that's all. So it's for the same unit or for the same cloth, 95 centimeter, cost price is this and sales price is this. So I can find the effective profit percentage now. The effective profit percentage is what? Sales price minus cost price upon cost price into 100. That's all. So from this, what I can say? So effectively, profit is 14 rupees out of 90.5 into 100. So that will be roughly 15.5%. So option A is my direct answer. So essentially a complex or twisted question, but if we stick to our basics, we can solve it efficiently without hassles. So these are our typical examples of profit and loss, which can be done with foundation level knowledge of the particular topics. Next, we take a couple of example of average and alligation, which is also very common in CAT, right? All of us understand the idea of average. Now let's see how we can solve latest CAT question without much calculations or in a faster way. So it says there are three persons A, B, and C in a room. If a person D joins the room, the average weight of the person in the room reduces by X kg. Instead of D, if a person E joins the room, the average weight of the persons in the room increases by 2x kg. Now, if the weight of E is 12 kg more than that of D, then the value of X is what? Okay, quite a straightforward and copycat question. So I'll show you how to solve it in a faster method without getting into simple calculations. So first, let's assume the three people A, B, C. Let's assume their average is P. Now, if I include another third, fourth person D, now what happens? Average reduces by X. What does it mean? So the new average becomes P minus X. So what is the age of D? Can we find the age of D by simple logic? Yes. See, if the value of D was P, then there would be no change in average. But average has decreased by X. Now, average of four people decreased by X. That means the total, or the actual decrease in average, or the actual numerical decrease in average, that will be 4x, because four people's average was decreased by X. So what is the total decrease in age? The total decrease was 4x for four people. That means D is bringing in 4x less than P. So P's or D's values would this age will be P minus 4x. That's the simple logic. On the other hand, if instead of D, E joins the group, then average will be what? Average increases by 2x. Means the new average will become P plus 2x. Therefore, what will be the age of E? So by the same logic, four people's average was increased by 2x. Therefore, total would be increased by 8x. Four people's total would be increased by 8x. That means P is bringing in 8x more than P. So P's values would be, or P's age would be P plus 8x. Right? So that's all. Now it says average of E is 12 kg more than B. That means E minus D is equal to 12. So you put the value here. So P plus 8x minus D is P minus 4x, and that is equal to 12. Therefore, from this I can get 12x equal to 12. Hence, x equal to 1. And that's all they want. What is the value of x? So with logic, this question can be done mentally or orally without any calculations. Now moving on, let's take another CAT examples. Okay. So this we can do. It seems complex or twisted, but can be done very efficiently with average or alligation. It says the average weight of students in a class increases by 600 gram when some new students join the class. If the average weight of the new students is 3 kg more than the average weight of the original students, then the ratio of the number of original students to the number of new students is what? So ideally, it may seem that there is no data given, no average given. Of course, not given. So what you can do, we can assume. So let's take there are two groups basically. This is the old group. Let's take there are X students here in the old original students. And let's take their average is A. Simple. A kg. Now, with this, you are punching a new group of students. So let's say there are n students in the new group. And their average weight is what? 3 kg more. That means new average is A plus 3 kg. So the kg is important. The units are important. Now, what's the overall average of the whole group? 600 gram more. So the average weight of the new group will be 600 gram means 0.6 kg more. So this is kg, kg, kg. Unit must be homogeneous. So I am mixing two different averages and have got an overall average. So what I can do, I can apply alligation, basic alligation, and that will give me the ratio of the number of students. So if I do diagonal subtraction, what I can say? A plus 3 minus A plus 0.6, which is 2.4. And this is A plus 0.6 minus A, which is 0.6. Therefore, by the rule of alligation, I can say ratio of the students will be equal to ratio of the differences, 2.4 upon 0.6. So ratio of the students will be what? Simply 4:1, which is option D. So even this, so you can see that this question, it looks complex, but can be done very efficiently with basic alligation. Okay. So next we talk about ratio and proportion. This is also a very common topic in CAT, and the questions are quite straightforward and simple. So let's look at the first one. It says, in a village, the ratio of number of males to females is 5:4. The ratio of number of literate males to literate females is 2:3. The ratio of number of illiterate males to illiterate females is 4:3. If 3,600 males in the village are literate, then the total number of females in the village is what? So it's a theta question. Now here, males, female, literate, illiterate, lot of variables are there. So the trick in this, the trick is to organize the information systematically. Then it will become simple. So how do I improve? How do I organize the information? So first, this is my total population. Okay. So total population are divided into male and females. So I write this way. Now they're in the ratio 5:4. Okay. Now the ratio of number of literate males to literate females. So males and females are again subdivided into two categories. So literate and illiterate. Same for females, literates and illiterates. Okay. So now the question says that ratio of the number of literate males to literate females is 2:3. So literate male, let's say literate male is 2x. So literate female will be 3x, 2:3 ratio. So 2x and 3x, x is any constant. And the ratio of number of illiterate males to illiterate females is 4:3. That is, this is 4y. So this would be, say, 3y. So from this, I can say the total males is 2x plus 4y, and the total females are 3x plus 3y. Now, further, it says if 3,600 males are literate, which means literate males means 2x. So this 2x is equal to 3,600. That means x is equal to 1,800. So this information I get. So I have to find the total number of females in the village, which is 3x plus 3y. Now I have got the value of x. So what I need the value of y now. So what more information I can utilize? So now I know that number or ratio of males to females is 2x, males to females is 5:4. So what I can say here, towards the total males is 2x plus 4y, and total females 3x plus 3y, and that is equal to 5/4. So if I organize it, so that is 8x plus 16y equal to 15x plus 15y. So from this I get 7x equal to y. So y equal to 7x. So what's the total number of females? The total number of females is what? That is 3x plus 3y, which is 3x plus y equal to 7x. So 3x plus 21x, which is 24x. That's all. Now x equal to 2800. So what's the total number of females? Which is 24 into 1800, which is equal to 43,200. So that's my clear answer. 43,200. So that's my answer. So the trick is to solve this question efficiently is to organize the information systematically. Now let's look at another information or another question which appeared in CAT 24 slot 1. Now it says a fruit seller has a total of 187 fruits consisting of apples, mangoes, and oranges. The number of apples and mangoes in the ratio 5:2. After he sells 75 apples, 26 mangoes, and half of the oranges, the ratio of number of unsold apples to number of unsold oranges becomes 3:2. So what is the number of unsold fruits? So here, what do you do? So total 187 fruits, and this is apples. Then we have mangoes and oranges. Now, initially, right? So how many do I have initially? So 5:2 ratio. So let's take apples 5K, mangoes 2K. The remaining must be oranges, which is 187 minus 5K plus 2K, which is 7K. This I can write number of oranges. Now, after she sells 75, the how many are sold? Apples sold 75, mangoes 26, and half of the oranges are sold. That means half of 187 minus 7K. Then what happens? Ratio of the number of unsold apples to unsold oranges. So how many are unsold? So that is simply 5K minus 75. Here 2K minus 26. And here remaining half are unsold. So 187 minus 7K. So now what is the ratio? Now they're saying that unsold apples upon unsold oranges. That is in the ratio 3:2. So I'm just following whatever they're saying step by step. So unsold apples is 5K minus 75 upon unsold oranges 2K minus 20. Sorry. Half of 187 minus 7K. That is 3:2. Now from this solving, I have to find the value of K. So what can you do? If I take 2 on the opposite above, it will become, I will multiply it by 2, then multiply the numerator by 2. So it becomes 10K minus 150 upon 187 minus 7K, which is 3:2. Okay. Now if you solve it and cross multiply, K will come out to be 21. So now you can answer the question easily. Now the question says number of unsold fruits. The total unsold fruits. How much is it? 5K means 5 into 21, which is 105 minus 75, which is 30. 2K means 42 minus 26, that is 16. And this is half of 187 minus 7K, which is 147, which is 20. So total number of unsold fruits are 30 plus 16 plus 20, which is 66. So that is my straight answer, 66. So these are our typical examples of ratio proportion questions. Now, next we discuss a very common topic, which is SICI. And SICI, there is only one formula for SI and one formula for CI. And we will explore those two formulas only in the questions that appeared in recent CATs. So first, if I take a simple interest example. So it says, Alex invested his savings in two parts. The simple interest earned on the first part at 15% per annum for 4 years is the same as the simple interest earned on the second part at 12% per annum for 3 years. Then percentage of his savings invested in the first part is what? So here it's SI and percentage mixed up. So fine. So what do you do? The first says the first part, let's take first part is X. Now X is invested at 15% per annum for 4 years. Okay. So what is the simple interest? Directly simple interest formula we know, PRN by 100. So X into 15 into 4 upon 100, which is equal to 60X by 100. Now this is equal to what? This is equal to our second part, which is Y. Now Y invested for 12% per annum for 3 years. So in this case, what is the simple interest? Same, PRN by 100. So Y into 12 into 3 upon 100, which is 36 into Y upon 100. Now both these interests are equal. So if I simply equalize them, then what do I get? So 60X upon 100 equal to 36Y upon 100. So from this, simply I can cancel 100. So what is X upon Y? So I get the ratio of the two parts, which is 36 upon 60. If I divide by 12, it will be 3 by 5. So X is to Y, or the ratio of the two parts is 3 is to 5. Now from this, I have to find the percentage of his savings invested in the first part. That means X. What is X out of the total savings? That means X upon X plus Y into 100. So from this, what do I get? So X is, let's take 3 rupees, and X plus Y will be 3 plus 5. That is the simplest, which is 3 by 8 into 100. So 3 by 8 means 1 by 8 is 12.5%. 3 by 8 is 36.5%. So 37.5%. So option 2 is my straight answer. So you can see this question is quite simple and straightforward for SI. No twist involved. Now next we take a slightly difficult question on compound interest. In fact, it has application of both SI and CI. This appeared in CAT 23 and similar question appeared in CAT 24 also. So let's try this question. It says, Anil invests rupees 22,000 for 6 years in a certain scheme with 4% interest per annum compounded half yearly. Okay, this is half yearly interest. Sunil invests in the same scheme for 5 years, then reinvests the entire amount received at the end of 5 years for 1 year at 10% simple interest. If the amount received by both at the end of 6 years are same, then the initial investment made by Sunil in rupees is what? Again, another theta question. So what do you do here? So first we talk about Anil. So Anil, what is the amount to Anil? So his principal is 22,000. Okay. His rate of interest is 4% per annum. Okay. But half yearly, so effectively rate of interest will be 4 by 2, which is 2% per half year. Now this time period is 6 years. So if I convert it into half years, it will be 6 into 2 or 12 half years. So what is the amount after 6 years? So simply I will apply the basic formula for compound interest. So amount after 6 years would be what? 22,000 into 1 plus R equal to 2 by 100 whole to the power 12. Okay, which is 22,000 into 1.02 whole to the power 12. Okay. Now, talking about Sunil, same scheme. So let's say Sunil principal is X. Rest is same. That is 2% per half year. And now time period will be what? So his rate of interest is again 2% per half year. It's the same scheme. And time period is 5 years. So 5 years means 5 into 2, which is 10 half years. So what is the amount after 5 years? That will be simply P into 1 plus 2 by 100 whole to the power 10, which is P into 1.02 whole to the power 10. Now, this whole amount is again reinvested at a simple interest, at a scheme of 10% simple interest. So what is the amount after 6 years in that case? So this amount will be reinvested for 10%. So I will multiply this by simply 1.1. So amount after 6 years will be simply 10% increased, which is 1.1. Now, both these amount will be equal. That's what the question says. Both these amounts will be equal. So if I equalize it, I shall get the value of P. So if I erase the previous calculations for the remaining calculation, so what can I say here? So if I equalize it, so P into 1.02 whole to the power 10 into 1.1 equal to 22,000 into 1.02 whole to the power 12. So P equal to what? 22,000 into 1.02 whole to the power 12 divided by 1.02 whole to the power 10 into 1.1. Okay. So now if I do the basic calculations, then what I can say here, if I take out the decimal, it will be on 0 here. So divided by 11, it will be 20,000. 20,000, 1.02 whole to the power 12 divided by whole to the power 10, which is simply 1.02 whole square. Now, if I use the simply calculator for this little tedious calculation, it will be 1.0404. So eventually, if you multiply, it will be 20808. You can use the on-screen calculator for faster calculations if you want. So that's my final answer, which is 20808. So here, little complex, here using basic compound interest, non-annual compounding, and simple interest combined. But it's not difficult as such. Okay, so moving on to the next. All right, next we talk about partnership. Now, the partnership topic a question on partnership rarely appears in CAT. If you look at the last 5 years data, you will find only one question from partnership that appeared in CAT 2021 in slot 2. Now, although it is partnership, but you can treat it as a simple or a mere percentage questions only and execute accordingly. So let's have a look at the question which appeared in CAT 21. So it says Anil, Bobby, and Chintu jointly invest in a business and agree to share the overall profit in proportion to their investment. That is the basic hypothesis of partnership. That means sharing profit or loss according to the or in the ratio of their investment, which is already stated. Now, Anil's share of investment is 70%, which means his profit share will also be 70%. So it says his share of profit decreases by rupees 420 if the overall profit goes down from 18% to 15%. Chintu's share of profit increases by rupees 80 if the overall profit goes up from 15% to 17%. The amount in rupees invested by Bobby is what? So I can see it's a mere percentage question with no twists and turns involved. So treat it as a mere percentage question and execute it. So let's assume the total investment by three of them, right? Total investment by all is equal to rupees X. Okay. And Anil's share is 70%. So Anil's investment So Anil investment will be simply 70% of X. And his share of profit decreases by 420 if the overall profit percentage goes down from 18% to 15%. Now, what is profit? The profit will be counted on or calculated on the investment. So if the profit is 18%, that means what? There's the value of profit, that is 18% of X. Okay. And if it goes down to 15%, then the profit value will be 15% of X. So what will be Anil's profit in that case? So Anil's share of profit will be what? That is 70% of profit. So first case, it will be 70% of 18% of X. Okay. And second time, when the profit is 15%, then Anil's profit will be 70% of 15% of X. And the difference in profit is said to be rupees 420 because Anil's profit is decreased by 420. So I can make this simple equation. So from this, if I simply solve it, I can get the value of X. So 70% if I take common, 18% of X minus 15% of X, which is basically 3% of X equal to 420. Now that is what? 70% of 3% of X equal to 420. So from this, what I can say? This is cancelled. 21, so this is 2, which means X equal to 20,000. Right? That means the total investment equal to 20,000. This we can say. Right? And Anil's share is 70% of 20,000. Now, next it says Chintu's share of profit increases by rupees 80 if the overall profit goes up from 15% to 17%. By the same logic, what will be share in Chintu's profit then? Just like Anil, then Chintu's share in profit, that would be what? Now, let's assume Chintu's share in investment is equal to, let's take y%. So it will become y% of X. So Chintu's share is y%. So Chintu's investment is y% of X. Therefore, Chintu's share in profit will also be y% of X. So how will Chintu's share in profit will change? So if the profit is 17%, then the actual value of profit will be 17% of X. Okay. And if it becomes 15%, then it will be 15% of X. And Chintu's share in profit will be what? Y% of this. In each case, it will be y%. So difference in profit will be equal to 80. Right? Now I can say y% of 17% minus 15%, which is 2% of X. Just like Anil, this is equal to 80. So now by solving, what we can say? We know X equal to 20,000. So we put the values y by 100 into 2 by 100 into X. X means 20,000, which is equal to 80. So from this, what we can say? This is cancelled. That means y will be equal to 20% or 20. The value of y is equal to 20. That means Chintu's share in investment is 20%. Anil is 70%. That means Bobby is left with what? 70 plus 20, 90. So Bobby is left with 10% only. So from this we can say, continue with this calculation. Now we can say that, so Bobby's share in investment. So Bobby's share in investment would be equal to 100% minus 70 plus 20, which is equal to 10% of X. What's the exact value then? 10% of X means X equal to 20,000, which is equal to 2,000. So that's all. So Bobby's share in investment is 2,000 only. So that's my answer, option C. So you can see this question is merely a percentage calculations, nothing to do with such partnership. Partnership itself is an application of percentage. Okay, next moving on. Okay, now up next we talk about time and work. Now, time and work is pretty common in CAT. You will get to at least one question or sometimes one or two questions in every slot in CAT. Now, time and work questions are majorly in two categories. One is questions based on similar efficiency, and another is questions based on different efficiencies. So first, we take an example of similar efficiency. Now, similar efficiency questions are not that common in CAT. Rarely you get one question. Okay. But if you get one question from similar efficiency, consider that as a bonus question, because this type of similar efficiency questions follow a single rule or a single formula. Like, let's take this example. It says a group of n people worked on a project. So n people, that means the n people, we assume that the n people have similar efficiency. There is no differentiating factor. So they finished 35% of the project by working 7 hours a day for 10 days. Thereafter, 10 people left the group and the remaining people finished the rest of the project in 14 days by working 10 hours a day. Then find the value of n. So in this case, it's a similar efficiency, 10 people, n people, they're all same. So in this case, what do you do? We can solve the question by a single formula, which is also known as chain rule. What happens here? It says if M1 people work for D1 days and each day they work for H1 hours to do a certain work W1, then M2 people will work for D2 days and each day they work for H2 hours and they will do a certain work W2. Now, if W1 and W2 are related or similar, then their ratios will be equal. So this is the basic idea of chain rule. So you can apply the same rule here. Okay. So first n people. So if I just put the value, so initially I have n people. Okay. They work for 35% of the work, working 7 hours and each day 10 days. So 10 days and each day they work for 7 hours and they do 35% of the work or certain work, 35 units, let's take. So in that case, what will happen? Similar people. Now 10 people left. So how many people are left now? How many people are remaining? That is n minus 10. Now they work 14 days. Each day they work for 10 hours to do the remaining work, finish the work. So finishing the work means remaining 65% of the work. As the work are related, so I can equate the two ratio. So from this, I have to cross multiply and I get the value of n. So what do you do here? So this is 10 and 10, this is cancelled. Okay. So now if I cross multiply, cancel out, this is 5. So 5, this will be 13. Okay. So if I cross multiply, it will be 13n would be equal to 14n minus 140, which means simply n is equal to 140. So initially there was 140 people. So similar efficiency questions can be solved by application of this only a single formula. That makes it very simple. Now let's take some examples of different efficiency questions which are more common in CAT. And these questions can be questions can be framed in various ways. So let's take the first one, which is interesting in the sense it says the amount of job that Amal, Sunil, and Kamal can individually do in a day are in harmonic progression. So that's the point here. So in this question, they have merged or they have punched time and work with harmonic progression, or HP as we say. Then it says Kamal takes twice as much time as Amal to do the certain work. Okay. If Amal and Sunil work for 4 days and 9 days respectively, and Kamal needs to work 16 days to finish the remaining job, then the number of days Sunil will take to finish the job, working the job alone. Okay. So what do you do here? So first I have Anamal, Sunil, and Kamal. Okay. So these three people. Now they say that the working individually in a day, work they can do in a day are in harmonic progression. Work in a day means efficiency or rate of work. Work done in a day is basically efficiency or rate of work. So the rate of work are in HP. That's the meaning of the question. Okay. Now it says that Kamal takes twice as much time as Amal. That means time taken by Kamal is twice the time taken by Amal. So in other word, the rate of Kamal should be half of the rate of Amal, because rate and time are in inversely proportion if the work is same. So if Kamal is taking twice the time, that means rate of the efficiency or rate of Kamal will be half of Amal. Okay. So let's assume the rate. So let's assume the rate of Amal is 2a. Okay. Let's assume the rate of Amal is 2a. So rate of Kamal would be a. Okay. Half. Now, what is the rate of Sunil? The rate of Sunil, let's take x. And these rates are in HP. So you know that if some terms are in HP, then their reciprocals must be in AP. So 1 by 2a, 1 by x, and 1 by a, they are in AP. So now if they are in AP, then what we can say? We know that the first term plus last term should be equal to twice of the middle term. This way I can write. So 2a, 2 plus 1, 3 equal to 2 by x. So from this I can get x would be equal to 4a upon 3. So from there, from this logic, I can get the rate of Sunil, which will be 4a upon 3. So I've got the three rates. So I can erase this calculation or workings. Now what I have? So I have got the rates of the three people, 2a, 4a by 3 and a. Now the question says, if Amal and Sunil work for 4 days and 9 days and Kamal works for 16 days to finish the job. So what's the total work? We know total work is equal to, I can write it as rate into time. Total work is equal to rate into time. So what's the total work in this case? That means Amal has to work for 4 days. So I can rate the total work is 4 into A. So work done by Amal is 4 into A, where A is the rate of Amal. Plus Sunil worked for 9 days. So I can write it as 9 into S. Plus Kamal works for 16 days. So I can write it as 16K. Okay. So now I put the values. Rate of Amal is 2A. So 4 into 2A. Rate of Sunil is 4a upon 3 plus rate of Kamal is 16a. So we get 8a plus 12a plus 16a, which is equal to 36a. So I can say that the total work is 36a. Now question is, what's the time taken for Sunil to do the work alone? So what do you do here? So if I just remove my previous working, now it becomes very simple. Now I know that work is equal to rate into time. So time is equal to what? Work upon rate. So what's the time taken by Sunil? So time taken by Sunil will be total work upon rate of Sunil. So from this what I can say? Total work I know 36a and the rate of Sunil is 4a upon 3. So if I just divide it, I get the values of time taken by Sunil, which would be equal to simply 27 days. So my answer is simply 27. So in this question, they have punched or they have mixed time and work with harmonic progression. That makes it a very interesting and beautiful question. So talking about the next question. Now this appeared in CAT 24 slot 3. Now this is about alternate work, which is a very common theme in time and work. Idea of alternate work. So let's work it out. It says Sam can do a complete job in 20 days working alone. Okay. Therefore, time taken by Sam alone is 20 days. That's what it says. Then Mohit is twice as fast as Sam. If Mohit is twice as fast as Sam, that means Mohit will take half the time. So Mohit will take 10 days. And thrice as fast as Aina. That means Mohit is thrice as fast as Aina. So if Mohit takes 10 days, Aina will take 3 times. That means Aina will take 30 days. This we can find out as we go with the question. Next, they undertake a job with an arrangement where Sam and Mohit work together on the first day, Sam and Aina work on the second day, Mohit and Aina work on the third day. And this 3-day pattern is repeated till the work gets completed. Then the fraction of the work done by Sam is what? Okay, so this is also a concept of alternate work, but slightly little twisted. Now, two people are working together. So how to approach our process will remain same. That means the first what I will do, I will find the total work. So in this case, what I will do, the total work I will take as LCM of their time periods, which is 20, 10, and 30. So simply it will be 60. So we assume that total work is 60 units. Next, we find the rate of SAM. So what is the rate of SAM? That is 60 by 20, which will be equal to 3 units per hour. Sorry, 3 units per day in this case. Same way, what is the rate of Mohit? The rate of Mohit would be 60 by 10, which is equal to 6 units per day. And the rate of Aina would be 60 by 30, which is equal to 2 units per day. Okay, so these are corresponding rates I can find out. Now what is happening? Now, if you look out, the first day, what is happening? Who is working on the first day? First day, Sam and Mohit. Sam and Mohit. Second day, Mohit and Aina. And third day, Sam and Aina. Second day, Sam and Aina. And the third day, Mohit and Aina, respectively. And it goes on again. Fourth day, it will repeat. Sam and Mohit. Fifth day again, Sam and Aina. Sixth day, Mohit and Aina. And goes on till the work is completed. So how much they do? If Sam and Mohit work together, what is the rate? 3 plus 6, which will be 9 units will be done. Second day, Sam and Mohit, which is 3 plus 2, 5. And third day, Mohit and Aina, which is 6 plus 2, 8 units would be done. Again, it will be repeated 9, 5, and 8. So, after what time or how many days the work will be finished? So now we do simple calculations, day-to-day calculations, like on the first 3 days, how much work is done here? 9 plus 5 plus 8, which is 22 units. Next 3 days also 22 units. So 22 plus 22, 44 units are done. But I have to finish 60 units. So again, next day, what will happen? Again, next, on the 7th day, what will happen? 9 units will be done. On the 8th day, again, 5 units will be done. So in this case, 9 plus 5, 14. So 44 plus 14, so far 58 units are done. So in 8 days, 58 units are done. So what will happen on 9th day? Now 9th day, Mohit and Aina can do 8 units. But what is the remaining work? Remaining work is only 2 units. Right? That means on 9th day, the work will be finished. Right? It will take 9th day, 8th day, and some days, some portion of 9th day, not the full of 9th day. But I can say on the 9th day, the work would be finished on 9th day. But that is not my question. My question is, what is the fraction of the work done by Sam? So now tell me, Sam, how many days Sam works? Sam works how many days? If I just calculate, this is 1 day here. Okay. This is 1 day, 2 day, 3, 4, right? Here also 6, here also 6 days. So total Sam works 6 days, right? So in 6 days, what portion of the work Sam can do? Now Sam can do the full work in 20 days. So Sam fraction of work by Sam will be what? That means 6 upon 20. Sam can do the full work in 20 days. So in 6 days, Sam will do 6 by 20, which is 3 by 10th of the work, or 3/10 of the work, which is option C. So these are our typical examples of time and work in CAT on variety of topics. Now here we talk about time, speed, and distance. Now time, speed, distance is a hugely popular topic in CAT. In every slot of CAT, we will find at least 2 questions on time, speed, and distance. The topic itself is very large. There are a lot of subtopics or variety of questions under this topic. And all of these are asked in rotation in every slots of CAT or every years of CAT. Now here we will discuss some latest questions on CAT, where we will discuss a variety of subtopics under this chapter. And in each of these topics, you will see that the CAT generally tests about your foundational knowledge rather than difficult questions or very tedious questions. That's not the purpose of CAT. So let's take the first example. It says two cars travel from different locations at constant speeds. To meet each other after starting at the same time, they take 1.5 hours if they travel towards each other, but 10.5 hours if they travel in the same direction. If the speed of the slower car is 60 kmph, then the distance traveled in kilometer by the slower car when it meets the other car while traveling towards each other. Now the language is very twisted, as we can see. Same direction, opposite direction, slower car, faster car, blah blah blah. Okay, it's quite twisted language, but if you know what to do, if you know what to look for, right, then it becomes very easy. So first, if I draw the schematic for my understanding, in time, speed, distance, always draw the rough schematic to understand the idea better. So it says two cars are traveling at constant speeds. If they to meet each other at the after they're starting at the same time, 1.5 hours travel towards each other. Okay, so I'll stick to towards each other. Now, if they travel towards each other, then what happens? So C1 and C2. Okay, then to meet each other, if they will take 1.5 hours. They will travel 1.5 hours if they travel towards each other. But if they move in the same direction, then it will take 10.5 hours. Now, speed of the slower car is 60. Thus, C1 is a slower and its speed is 60. Okay. This speed is 60. Right? This is the opposite direction and this is the same direction. Now, what they want? They say the distance traveled by the slower car means the C1 when it meets the other car while traveling towards each other. So focus only on towards each other. Now, if they move towards each other, then what happens? To meet each other, they only take 1.5 hours as stated in the question. So if they meet in 1.5 hours, what is the distance covered by the slower car in 1.5 hours? So distance covered by the slower car would be what? Simply, we know distance equal to speed into time. The speed of the slower car is 60 and it will take 1.5 hours to meet. So the slower car will cover only 90 kilometers. So that's the answer. So this question is a classic example of where the CAT question, the language is twisted, but the answer or the solution is very, very simple. Okay. Now, the next one, if we look at, this appeared in CAT 23. This question is also very twisted or lengthy, but if we apply your common knowledge or common reasoning skill, it can be done in a very efficient and very fast without much calculations. So it says, Brishti went on an 8-hour trip in a car. Before the trip, the car had traveled a total of X kilometer till then, where X is a whole number and a palindromic number. Now, what is palindromic? Most of you already know it. It means X remains unchanged when the digits are reversed. Just to explain, for example, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here it is 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 from left to right, and from right to right, it is also 1, 2, 1. Okay, from right to left, it is also 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. So this is a palindromic number. Now it says, at the end of the trip, the car had traveled a total of 26862 kilometer. The car's odometer reads 26862 kilometer, which also is a palindromic number. If Brishti never drove at more than 110 kmph, then the greatest possible average speed at which she drove during the trip was what? These are the 4 options. So if you want to solve it theoretically or step by step or by pure math, then it is going to be very complex or clumsy. But if I apply our common reasoning skill, then what you can say? Again, if I draw the schematic, this is the starting point. Okay. So before the trip, the car had traveled X kilometer. And after it went for 8-hour trip. as it says. So it came to C. Now after that, the car odometer, the total distance covered was 26. It was 26862 kilometers. Okay, 26862 kilometers, which is also a palindrome. Now, if they are asking what is the greatest possible average speed, now Brishti never drove at more than 110 kmph, which means Brishti drove at a speed of, the average speed of Brishti always been less than or equal to 110 kmph. Never drove more than 110, which means it can be less than or equal to 110 kmph. So what could be the highest average speed? So what I should, instead of getting into calculations, I will simply check with options. That's the best strategy in this question. Just check with option. So what is the greatest speed in the option? 110, which is also possible as per question. 110 is also possible. So let's assume that her average speed was, maximum was 100 speed. So if her average speed was 110 kmph, right, as per my option 4, if I check with this, okay. So now let's do the calculation with respect to 110. So Bristol drove for what? Total 8 hours. So in total 8 hours, what is the distance she covered then? 8 into 110, which is 880. So what is the distance covered before the trip? That means what is the value of x then? Then x should be equal to 26862 minus 880. And what would be that? What that would be? That is 2, 8. Okay, so this will be 2, then 9, 5, and this is 2. Okay, so 25,982. But this is not a palindrome as per question. X is also a palindrome, but which is not being done here, which is not being satisfied here. Which means this is not going to be a, that means x equal to 110 is not going to be your answer. It cannot be your answer because it is not satisfying the question. So I can easily rule out option 4 or 110. Now, what is the next greatest possible? Out of the remaining, what is the next greatest possible is 100. Now, let's check out the rule. Let's do the whole calculation again with 100. So if I check with 100 now, right, let's assume here her maximum speed was 100. So in that case, what will happen? So in these 8 hours, Bristol covered a total of 800 kilometers. So in that case, what is the value of x? 26862 minus 800, which is equal to 26062. 26062. Now this one is a palindrome. 26062, 26062. This is a palindrome. So this satisfies my condition or the question. So I can safely say that my highest average speed can be 100 kmph. So that's all. That's my answer. So seemingly a complicated question, but it can be done quite efficiently or quite fast by applying our basic reasoning skill or basic skill of speed equal to distance equal to speed into time. Fine. Now let's take another example. The next example we take, now this is a very common example or a common topic, which is relative speed. Okay, it's very common in CAD, relative speed. And there are two formulas of relative speed. One is if the two bodies move in the same direction, the relative speed is the difference of the two speeds. And if they move in opposite direction, then the relative speed is the sum of the two speeds, if they start at the same time in both cases. So keeping that in mind, let's try this question. So Ravi is driving at a speed of 40 kmph on a road. Vijay is 54 meters behind Ravi and driving in the same direction as Ravi. So if I quickly draw the schematic as per the question, then what we can say? Say this is Ravi. Okay, and Vijay is behind Ravi. So this gap is 54 meters and they are moving in the same direction and Ravi's speed is 40 kmph. Fine. Next, Ashok is driving along the same road from the opposite direction at a speed of 50 kmph. Now here I got Ashok. And Ashok's speed is 50 kmph. And is 225 meters away from Ravi. So this gap is now 225 meters. They are in the opposite direction. So Ravi and Ashok are in opposite direction. Now the question is the speed at which Vijay should drive so that all the three cross at the same time. So speed should be in kmph. Let's take this speed is x kmph. So now what I do? All the three will meet at the same time. That means what? The time for meeting Vijay and Ravi must coincide with time for meeting Ashok and Ravi. So I can apply basic concepts of relative speed. So what's the time for meeting Vijay and Ravi? They are moving in the same direction. The initial gap is 54 and relative speed will be x minus 40 because the Vijay has to be faster than Ravi. Only then Vijay can overtake or catch up with Ravi. So relative speed will be simply x minus 40. But this is in meter. So what I should do, I should convert this is kmph. So I should convert this into meter per second for homogeneity of units. Now, what about for Ravi and Ashok? So what's the time for meeting Ravi and Ashok? Now they are moving in opposite direction with the initial gap is 225 meter. So time taken will be what? 225 divided by relative speed, which is now 40 plus 50. They are moving in opposite direction. So this is meter. I have also taken it as converted it to meter per second. Now both the timing must be same so that all the three cross at the same time. So if I equate their timings, then what we can say? If I equate their timings, then what we can say? 54 upon x minus 40 into 5 by 18 equal to 225 upon 90 into 5 by 18. So 5 by 18 will be simply cancelled on both sides. And then if you do the calculations and simplification, you will see x will come out to be 61.6 kmph. So option 4 is my simple answer. So this question is fairly basic question, very basic or foundational question asked in CAT. Right? Moving on. Next, this is a very also a common topic. There is escalator. So many of us are very apprehensive about escalator. So sometimes it can be a very complex questions on escalator, but in CAT generally they ask you about very basic of escalator questions. If you apply the basic ideas of escalator, you can get the question done. Let's have a look at this question which appeared in CAT 22. So it says Moody takes 30 seconds. Moody takes 30 seconds to finish riding an escalator if he walks on it at his normal speed in the same direction. So this is the escalator. The escalator is moving in this direction and Moody is also moving in the same direction at normal speed. Now he takes 20 seconds to finish riding the escalator if he walks at twice his normal speed in the same direction. Okay. If Moody decides to stand still on the escalator, then the time in seconds needed to finish riding the escalator is what? So quite simple. The escalator is moving. So let's take speed of escalator. Okay. The speed of escalator is, let's say speed of escalator is what? I can take say E steps per second. And speed of Moody is, let's take M steps per second. Okay. So in 30 seconds, what happens? First case, in 30 seconds, the escalator goes what? In 30 seconds, what happens? In 30 seconds, escalator goes 30 into E steps and Moody will go 30 into M steps, right? Distance equal to speed into time, same logic. So what's the total number of steps to go from bottom to top? That is, the escalator goes 30E and Moody goes 30M. So this should be the total steps on the escalator. Okay, this we can say. Next, what happens in 20 seconds? Now, what happens in 20 seconds? Now, speed of Moody becomes double. So escalator speed is same, E, but Moody speed is now 2M. So what's the distance covered by, or the number of steps covered by escalator? That will be same 20E, right? That's the distance covered by escalator and distance covered by Moody. Distance means number of steps. And in this case, Moody, it will be 20 into 2m or 40m. So in this case also, total steps will be what? The total steps on the escalator would be 20e plus 40m. Now, in both the cases, total number of steps on the escalator must be same. So I can equate number of steps on both cases. So if I equate number of steps, then what I can say? Total steps is equal. Total steps are equal. So if I equate it, then what do I get? 30e plus 30m equal to 20e plus 40m. So from this, I can say 10e equal to 10m. In other words, the speed of escalator and the speed of Moody are equal. So now that becomes easier. Then what is the total number of steps? So I can write it as 30e plus m is also equal to e. That means total number of steps, I can write it as 60 into e. E is the speed of escalator. Now question is, if Moody stands still on the escalator, what is the time taken to finish riding the escalator? So if Moody now remains fixed, then what will happen? So what's the time taken for the escalator for Moody? Moody is fixed here. So time taken for the escalator to finish. That means total number of steps of the escalator divided by speed of escalator. Simple logic. Now the escalator will only move at its own speed. So what do you get then? Total number of speeds is 60 times e and speed of escalator is e. So simply I get 60 e seconds. So time taken would be in this case 60 seconds. So that's my simple question with simple explanation. Okay, so these are our selected 20 previous years questions on arithmetic, on various topics of arithmetic, where we have tried to show you that despite the myth that CAT questions are difficult, in effect or in actuality, the questions are quite straightforward and based on the foundational knowledge of the arithmetic topics. So if you practice the arithmetic foundation topics or the foundational questions rigorously, you are sure to get these questions done correctly. With this, I am signing out. Bye.